Hello everyone, welcome back to another Diablo Immortal video. So in this video I'm going to be testing out the latest Skeletal Mage Essence for Necromancer in Diablo Immortal. That was introduced as part of the Shattered Sanctuary update, which had loads of different essences for all the various classes. This is the latest one for Necromancer, which gives us a brand new Skeletal Mage. And as soon as I read this description in the update notes, I was really excited to use it straight away because it mentioned about having untargetable Spectral Mages, and that was huge. So this essence is called Scattered Light, and it's what we'll be testing against all the other different types of mages. So let's have a look at the description of this essence. So it says, Spectral Mage. Skeletal Mage now summons untargetable Spectral Mages that cast Hungering Soulfire at enemies. After being struck by a total loss of control effect, a Spectral Mage can sacrifice itself to remove the effect. Additionally, Spectral Mages will be summoned passively while you're in combat. Skeletal Mage damage increased by 18%, and if you have this essence in an awakened slot, you get an additional 10% cooldown for the mages. So it's a fantastic essence. Now, Hungering Soulfire, you might recognize that. That is the ultimate ability for Soulfire. And there is another essence which uses that as well, the Dark Mages. And we've also got some PvP friendly benefits for this mage. So when you do get struck by total loss of control, there will be a mage that can sacrifice itself and remove that effect. So they've kind of made it friendly to take these summons into a PvP environment. Great thing about this essence is that you're not going to get bosses and really tough enemies one-shot your mages as soon as you summon them. They're going to be around for as long as their timer is available. So they're going to do the maximum amount of damage that they can before you respawn them. So things like challenge rifts and gauntlets and like tougher raids or any other content like that, they are going to stay around for as long as they can. So you're getting the most out of those mages and their damage. So let's get testing. Okay, first of all, let's show the equipment that I'll be using for this. So I am completely removing all of my legendary gems apart from in the slot where I have the essence equipped. That's so I can get the additional bonus, which is the Skeletal Mage cooldown decreased by 10%. And I'm only going in with Follower's Burden. It's a legendary gem which most Necromancers are going to have and use, just because it increases all damage you'll deal by 3%, but it's not going to affect the actual mage's damage too much. Obviously the mages take 6% decreased damage, but we're testing against a training dummy, so that dummy is hopefully not going to hit back. And yeah, just the fact that I've removed all the other legendary gems means that's going to be less things interfering with the test when I'm using the mages. In terms of set items, I've got 4 pieces of Vitus Urges. Now I'm not going to be using Bone Armor at all, so none of these properties are going to affect the test, but I am using 4 pieces of Shepherd because if there's a Necromancer that's going to be using a summon heavy build with mages, Golem and Skeletal Warriors, they're bound to have Shepherds and Mother, at least 2 of them equipped, because you get the 15% increased damage by summons, and then if you've got 4 pieces, you get your critical hit chance go up by 3% for each of your summons, up to a maximum of 18%. So that's the set items that I'm going in with. In terms of Paragon, I'm just going in with Brawler. Now there's nothing here that should really interfere with the test when checking out the mage's damage or their duration, and I've got no legendary skill equipped either. And my stance is going to be the command stance here. So you and your summons attack speeds are increased by 20% for 3 seconds. After the initial duration ends, the increase is reduced to 10%. So I'm going in with that stance. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I've got Wraithform, Bone Armor, Borrowed Time equipped, but I'm not going to be using them. I've equipped skills that I shouldn't really interfere with Skeletal Mages. Okay, so let's begin testing with the Spectral Mage Essence. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Skeletal Mages and let them attack the training dummy for 15 seconds. And then I'm going to pause the timer. We'll take a look at the damage. And we're going to repeat that 3 times to see if we get some consistency with the numbers. We're also going to keep an eye on the cooldown for Skeletal Mages as well. And, you know, compare that against the other essences. So before we start, let's just double check the skills. Let's go down to Skeletal Mages. So we've got Spectral Mage. We've got Skeletal Mage duration increased by 39%. We've got Skeletal Mage grows in size and strength. And I also have a 4% damage increase from my charms. It's worth noting that down. So what we're going to do is gonna summon the skeletons. They're gonna hit the training dummy for 15 seconds. We're going to do that 3 times just to see the consistency, and we're also going to keep an eye on the cooldown as well. So here we go. This is test number 1. So you can see the mages are growing in size and strength the longer they're active, and you can see that they're actually active for quite a good amount of time. I don't have to click the button again because all 3 are up at the moment. So one's gone down. I'm just going to click again, and there we go. 15 seconds. So we got 2.4 million. For 15 seconds, and we're going to try that one more time as well. Now, one thing worth remembering here is with this essence, I'm not clicking skeletal mages, they're passively respawning themselves. So let's see what happens when this mage goes away. There we go. This mage is about to go, another one spawned, this one spawned, and then soon you're going to get another one spawn before I even need to click a button. So that's really cool. It just means that they're going to continuously spawn even if you don't end up pressing the mage button. Obviously, if you press the skeletal mage button, you get the other 2 spawns, so there's always 3. So yeah, that's worth noting as well. But we're just looking for a 15-second test. So let's start that again. I'm going to head out of here. Let both of these 2 skeletal mages go down with their cooldowns. We'll run back in, do another 15-second test. There we go. Now let's try one more time. So we've got 2.4 million. Let's see if we get something consistent. Okay, one mage is about to go very soon. 14, 15, there we go. 2.3 million. So yeah, 2.4 million and then 2.3 million. I'm actually noting this down as I'm doing the video as well. So okay, let's start that again. Okay, and this time let's double check the cooldown for skeletal mages. The cooldown is 9 seconds. So we've got 9 seconds before you can click these skeletal mages again. And once again, let's leave them for 15 seconds and see if we get consistent numbers. There we go, 2.4 million. So that was definitely consistent. I'd say, you know, because we've got 2.4 million, 2.3 million, 2.4 million. So that was good to see. Now let me get rid of this mage. All mages are gone. Now let's try something. Let's remove this essence completely and put on an essence which has nothing to do with skeletal mages. So let's put in something random here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to compare the damage difference when you don't have any skeletal mage essence equipped. It will give you a good comparison to see, you know, what the damage increase is like when you do have a skeletal mage essence equipped compared to when you don't have any skeletal mage essence equipped. So this is basically just a base skeletal mage. So summon an immobile skeletal mage for 13 seconds that throws bolts of soulfire in a direction, each dealing 5,363 damage to all enemies in the bolt's path. Okay, so let's give this a go and it'll give us a nice comparison. Cooldown is 8 seconds and we're going to do this for 15 seconds. So basically I'm just going to keep tapping until we get to the 15-second mark, and you can compare the difference in damage. 14, 15, there we go. 1.2 million. Okay, 1.2 million, and we're going to do that one more time. Just reset that. Wait for this mage to go away. Anytime now. Okay, reset. We're going to go one more time. So we've got 1.2 million. Let's try that again. Okay, so when the cooldown is back, I will press again. There we go. Get another mage up. Do this for 15 seconds. There we go. 1.1, 1.2 million. So you got to see the increase of damage of when you actually have a mage essence equipped to when you don't have any mage essence equipped. You know, 1.1, 1.2 million damage all the way up to 2.5, 2.4 million. So for any new necromancers that have joined Diablo Immortal, if you are using something like mages or if you are using skeletons, make sure you do equip an essence that will bolster the damage and duration and, you know, all the abilities of your mages. And you got to see how much more damage you will deal than just having one of the summon skills without any essence to help it out. So definitely have an essence equipped that matches to your summons. That will, you know, you'll see you go from like 1.1, 1.2 million all the way to 2.4 million. Okay, so now let's test the next mage essence. Okay, so the next one that we're going to test is Black Wall. Okay, so we're now comparing Spectral Mage with Black Wall. Black Wall is the Umbra Eater. Skeletal Mage is now mobile and channels beams at multiple nearby enemies that deal more damage the longer they hit the same target. Skeletal Mage damage increased by 18%. So this was a really good essence, and it's one that I used to use before the Spectral Mages came out. I used to stick to Umbra Eater. It was nice to see those mages moving around and not being static, so they moved with you. It's a really nice essence. Now let's see how that compares against the Spectral Mages. So once again, going to hit the training dummy with just the mages alone. Okay, here we go. Test number 1. So it was an 8-second cooldown that time for these ones, compared to the 9 seconds we got for Spectral Mages. So once again, I'm going to keep summoning them for 15 seconds, and we're going to keep an eye on the damage. I'm going to pause at 15 seconds. There we go. 1.3 million. Okay, so we've got 1.3 million for the first test. We're going to try that 2 more times, just see if we get some consistent results. I was expecting them to do a bit more damage. I didn't realize they were a lot less. Here we go again. Now. Okay, so 8-second cooldown. So you just get the 1 mage. And again. Okay, 5 more seconds to go. There we go. 1.5 million. So close to what we had before. We had 1.3, 1.5 now, and we're going to do that 1 more time just to see if we get some consistent results. And here we go now. Summon the mage again. There we go. 1.7. That's interesting that that one actually went up a little bit more. It's quite interesting that it went from 1.3, 1.5, 1.7, but overall it couldn't even touch the Spectral Mage damage. It was nice that these ones, obviously the advantage of these mages is they do move around and they do the continuous beam in that path, which is quite cool. But in terms of damage, I mean, you know, 1.3, 1.5, 1.7, it didn't come anywhere close to the 2.3 or 2.4 million damage that the Spectral Mages did for the same amount of time, so 15 seconds. So that was interesting. Okay, so now let's try the next Mage Essence.
Another tale to unravel.
The next Mage Essence we're going to compare against is Crest of the Skyfallen. So these are the Thunder Mages. I've seen these are a favourite for quite a few people who have a Thunder build. So they'll mix this with the Lightning Golem and the Lightning Skeletons and Lightning Rod as the Paragon legendary skill as well. And they'll have a complete Necromancer Lightning build. So this is a really fun essence actually. So Thunder Mage. Skeletal Mage now summons Thunder Mages that attack with Chain Lightning. Skeletal Mage damage increased by 18%. So this one's quite cool because if you have a group of enemies, any enemies that get in between that chain will get damaged as well. So obviously we're not going to be able to see that with the training dummy, but that's one thing to keep in mind as an advantage for Crest of the Skyfallen. But how does it deal in terms of damage? So that's what we'll find out here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so they're way faster. Look at the speed. And there's an 8-second cooldown on these ones. There we go. 1.2 million. And it was an 8-second cooldown. And 1.2 million damage. So very similar to the Black Wall, the mobile ones with the beams. It's very, very similar. But yeah, 1.2 million. I expected it to be a little bit more. Let's just see what it's like on a second test. So they're firing away. 2, 1. Click again. Got another mage up. Got 5 more seconds to go. There we go. 1.4 million. And strangely enough, it's similar to the Black Wall Essence, where the second test is going up very slightly. I wonder if we're going to go to see 1.6 or 1.5 this time round. Let's have a look. Just wait a few seconds, and here we go. You can also see my pets not helping out here as well. Three, 4, 5. 1.2. Okay, that was interesting. It didn't go up further. So we got 1.2 million, 1.4 million, 1.2 million. You know what? They were slightly less damage than the Black Wall, that was really interesting. But remember, the advantage of these mages are that you do get that chain lightning. So these work better when you're in a group of enemies around you, maybe like open world, challenge rifts and elder rifts and things like that, where you know you got loads of multiple enemies, and any enemies that get hit in that chain are going to get hurt as well. So that's obviously the advantage of having these mages equipped. Now let's try the next mage essence. Okay, so the next mage essence we're going to compare against is Vesperguard. So this is the Dark Sorcerer essence. Skeletal Mage now shoots continuous rays at enemies, and Skeletal Mage damage is increased by 18%. Okay, so you get continuous rays. I don't remember using this one too much, actually. I remember using the Black Wall essence. I haven't really used Vesperguard that much, so this will be interesting to try out in comparison to the Spectral Mages. So same again. Let's keep an eye to see what the cooldown is like. And here we go. So I think that was an 8-second cooldown I saw. I'll try one more time. We're going to reset now. We're going to spawn another one. And we're going to leave it for 15 seconds. There. 1.1 million. Okay, so 1.1 million for Vesperguard. And let this mage finish. We'll try that one more time. So yeah, 15 seconds, 1.1 million. That was interesting. So that's very close to Thunder Mages, not quite as high as the Black Wall Mages, and nowhere near the Spectral Mages. Let's try that again. Yeah, it was an 8-second cooldown to use those mages again to summon them. But obviously you only get the one mage to begin with. Summon a second one. And stop. So that was 1 million. It didn't quite get the 0.1 that time. So I'm just noting that one down. That's 1 million. So there's 1.1 million and 1 million. Let's try one more time. Here we go. So you can see these ones are still growing in size as well. And dealing a bit more damage the longer they're active. Spawned a second one. Same again. Waiting until we get to 15 seconds. 14. 15. 1.1 million. So that's, you know, the numbers are very consistent. So we've got 1.1 million, 1 million, 1.1 million. Is there anything special that's mentioned about these mages? It just says Skeletal Mage now summons a Skeletal Mage for 13 seconds that shoots continuous rays, dealing 4,291 damage to enemies, up to a maximum of 6 skeletal minions that can be controlled at once. Okay, so you can have up to 6 on these ones. Interesting. And let me see if there was anything interesting that was mentioned for Crest of the Skyfallen. So if we find that one again, it's down here somewhere, this one here. So is there anything else special mentioned for Crest of the Skyfallen? So that's 13 seconds, that does 6,180 lightning damage per enemy hit, with each cast bouncing up to 5 times. So obviously for the Thunder Mages you get that bounce as well, so that's the advantage of having that. And if we double check Black Wall, which I think is somewhere near the bottom here, let's quickly check Black Wall and the skills there. So for Black Wall, that's Beams at up to 3 nearby enemies, dealing 3,447 damage, gradually increasing by up to 100% if a beam continues to damage the same target. Okay, so you do have little small print there mentioned. That's not mentioned in the actual essence text as well. So that's one thing worth remembering. When you do pick your essence, read the text that's actually on the essence as well, and then go into your skills tab and you'll get an idea of what exact damage they'll do, and any other little properties, for example like bouncing off enemies or continuous damage. It's stuff like that, so it's worth reading. Okay, the next mage essence we're going to try out is Coffin Lid. So this is one that I used to use quite a lot. It was before the continuous raise essence. I used to use this one because they did Hungering Soulfire. So this is Dark Magus. Skeletal Mage now summons a Dark Magus that unleashes Hungering Soulfire at nearby enemies, and Skeletal Mage damage increased by 18%. So the Hungering Soulfire is the same type of attack that the Spectral Mages will use. The main difference being that these Dark Magus Mages will be able to be killed and targetable, whilst the Spectral Mages are untargetable. And this was a really cool one because you got to see your ultimate being used all the time with those mages, and I remember using this a lot. So let's equip this. So Coffin Lid, and let's double check the skills as we did with the previous ones. So it says it does Hungering Soulfire that deals 5,633 damage. Enemies struck multiple times take 75% reduced damage from subsequent hits. So that's one thing worth remembering as well for this one. But how does it compare for like a 15-second test? Let's have a look now. So I think I saw the cooldown was 8 seconds again. And they're very fast, yeah. Oh no, 7 seconds actually. There's less cooldown for this one. That means I can select it one more time. So I was able to click them one more time before that 15-second timer came up. So because they had that 7-second cooldown. So they've got the lowest cooldown across all of the mages that we've tried so far. And we've got 1.9 million damage. Okay, so 1.9 million damage on that one. And that makes these essences stronger than the Vesperguard, stronger than the Crest of the Skyfallen Thunder Mages, and stronger than the Black Wall, the mobile beam one as well. Not quite as strong as the Spectral Mages for some reason, but these are very, very good Skeletal Mages to use. A really good choice. 1.9 million, and the cooldown is a second less than all the other three that we've previously tried. Spectral Mage had a 9-second cooldown, the others had an 8-second cooldown, and this one has 7 seconds. So which means I can click this 3 times within the 15 seconds. Here we go, another one. We've got another mage. It's 2. You can see the speed that they're firing as well. Fantastic. And again, one more time. That's it, 1.8 million. So that was quite consistent with the previous score. I'll just let these mages go down. So we've got 1.9 million, and then we've got 1.8 million, and we'll try on a third test to see what we get. And yeah, they stay around for quite a long time actually. Let's try on a third and final test. Okay, summon one more.
Not yet.
And we'll be able to summon one more before the 15-second timer. There we go. 1.9 million, so very consistent results there. I'm letting this mage finish doing its thing. Oh, there's another one as well. Let it finish doing its thing. But basically we got 1.9 million, 1.8 million, 1.9 million. I will put a summary on the screen eventually once I do the last mage. We can see all of them because obviously going to be hard remembering all the previous numbers, but basically these are second best so far compared to the Spectral Mages, which is quite interesting. I actually thought the mobile beam one is going to be second best, but I was surprised to see the Dark Mages are really, really good. Okay, and now the last mage essence we're going to try. We can't not do this one. We have to call the Grim Reaper, and you know, how many necromancers, when they first started playing Diablo Immortal, called upon this giant Grim Reaper and used it. I remember using this Grim Reaper for a very long amount of time. I even used it in PvP and Battleground as well. It was great having that massive Reaper behind you that used to go and deal attacks in, until I moved over to actually using the other essences. So I can't not try this one out. So Grim Reaper is the Welcome's End essence, where Skeletal Mage now summons a powerful Grim Reaper but has a longer cooldown. Skeletal Mage damage is increased by 18%. Let's see if we have anything else in the small text in the skills tab. So let's go down to the Skeletal Mage. Skeletal Mage now summons a powerful Grim Reaper that deals 26,298 damage with each attack, but its cooldown is increased to 24 seconds, which means obviously we're only going to be able to use this one time for our 15-second test, but it'll be interesting to see how much damage it actually deals in that 15 seconds and what the cooldown is like. So 24 seconds cooldown, and let's let it hit, and it's actually growing as well. Nice to see that this mage is actually benefiting from the strength, from the size and strength. 1.1, that's actually more than I thought it was going to do. Okay, that's really interesting. I actually thought it was going to do a little bit less than 1.1 because of how slow the attacks are, but it did manage to get 1.1 million. That's not too bad. And this is the first time that I've actually seen that this essence benefits from the increase in size and strength essence that we've got equipped, so that's pretty cool. Let's try that one more time. So 24 seconds for the cooldown, which means we can only click it the once, and I know it's still a really cool looking essence. You know what, I actually miss using this. Oh, it's actually dealing a little more. Oh wow, it managed to get up to 1.4 million. I'm not sure what contributed to actually increasing its attack there. Maybe there was some other timer come into play, because going from 1.1 to 1.4 is a nice jump for 15 seconds. So that was quite cool. We're going to try that one more time. So what's interesting is that Welcome's End Reaper is actually better than the Vesperguard Mage Essence with the continuous raise, which was only getting 1.1 million at maximum in 15 seconds. Let's try one more time. Keep going, you can do this, you can get into 1 million. How far is it going to get? How many slashes? I'll let it do one more slash, there we go. 1.4 million. So, I'm not sure what happened the first time round where I only got 1.1. Maybe I didn't let it do one last slash before I hit pause on the 15-second mark, but the previous two attempts are very consistent, because you got 1.4 million exactly. And that is the end of all the training dummy tests. So we've got all of our figures so far. Let's go back to the Spectral Mage Essence, just to come full circle and have a look at the damage. Just make sure nothing's got really messed up since I last tried this. Here we go. 8 seconds. So, sorry, 9-second cooldown. And you can see that I don't have to click the Skeletal Mage button because there's already 3 there. Now I can select it again. There we go, 2.5 million. This essence is fantastic. These mages are really, really good. There's a clear winner here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to post all of the results so far on screen now. Okay, so we have a clear winner here with the Spectral Mages. The untargetable mages have 2.4 million, 2.3 million, 2.4 million with a 9-second cooldown. You've got the Black Wall, which is the mobile mages with the beams, at 1.3 million, 1.5 million, 1.7 million with an 8-second cooldown. Crest of the Skyfallen, the Thunder Mages, these weren't as great, but 1.2 million, 1.4 million and 1.2 million with an 8-second cooldown. And Vesperguard were really underwhelming. These are the continuous raise mages, 1.1 million, 1 million and 1.1 million with an 8-second cooldown. And then we've got Coffin Lid, the Dark Mages. This is 1.9 million, 1.8 million, 1.9 million. So they come up as second best. They're really good. And they've got a 7-second cooldown, so they're even quicker to respawn. And then we've got Welcome's End, the Reaper. A nice surprise here with 1.1 million, 1.4 million, 1.4 million. I'd probably take that as sort of the 1.4 is the takeaway from that one. Obviously you get the 24-second cooldown, but you do get a stronger mage that hangs around. And obviously remember it's worth noting that each of these essences, although we're doing just a damage test of 15 seconds, they've got their own little benefits as well, like, you know, the Thunder Mages doing the chain damage and bouncing between enemies, and you've got the continuous raise mages, you know, any enemies that come in between those rays are going to get hurt as well. So they've all got their own little damage and little tweaks here and there as well, worth remembering. But the huge thing here is the Spectral Mages are untargetable, and none of the other mages are untargetable. So for things like challenge rifts and really hard content, sometimes as soon as you spawn those mages, they're going to get instantly one hit killed, and you're going to have to wait for that cooldown again. Whilst with the Spectral Mages, as soon as you click them, they're going to hang around for the full amount of time, and you can use other essences to increase their duration and damage the longer that they're active. You can even use Command Golem to bolster them to keep them alive for longer as well. So it just makes the Spectral Mages a fantastic essence. Thanks to Blizzard for introducing that one. That kind of made me slightly happy after they dumbed down Parting Gift a little bit for the Bone Armor essence. So hope you enjoyed seeing that test. It was an interesting one to do, you know, just seeing how each of them perform and comparing them against each other. I have a video where I've taken the Spectral Mages into a challenge rift to do level 371, and I will link that in the description so you can see how those Spectral Mages perform in a PvE environment, a sort of a very difficult PvE environment like challenge rifts. But, you know, I'll do a quick run in a challenge dungeon just now, just to show you what they're like. And before we finish at the training dummy, let's do one more fun test. So I'm going to have all of my legendary gems equipped again. So Roiling Consequence, Blood-Soaked Jade, Echoing Shade, Morn Skull, Gloom Cask, Starfire Shard, Mother's Lament, and Follower's Burden. Now let's see what damage we get in that 15 seconds with all of these gems equipped. So you can see how much more crazy the damage is with all of these equipped, with the Spectral Mage Essence as well. There we go, 10.3 million damage. Okay, let's enter a challenge dungeon with the Spectral Mages. Okay, let's get the mages up. And as I run through here, they'll be untargetable, they won't be able to be killed. They've got really long duration. My cooldown is 7 seconds. Compared to the 9 seconds I had when I didn't have any of my legendary gems equipped. So whatever I've got equipped has reduced the cooldown
at last
for my skeletal mages as well. That's made it even better.
That raft is the only way.
Let's get on this raft. So this is quite interesting because it's a closed area where usually the mages might be able to be killed quite easy. But now as they're untargetable, they should actually hang around for a lot longer. Obviously this isn't the most exciting challenge dungeon to show you, but I'd quite like the fact that they're in a closed space here, which means we can see them hang around for longer. I'm kind of letting them do most of the work here, so I'm only using bone armor and skeletal mages just to see how they perform, and you can see how long they stay around for. I've got the same skeletal mage duration essence equipped. They grow in size and strength, and I've got about 4% increased damage increase for my charm. Now, I'm not using my Golem much, I'm not using Grim Scythe either. I'm literally just not even using my primary attack. Obviously not doing that much damage because I'm not using my other skills. But this damage you're seeing here on the left is literally just my mages.
And those shaman are beyond my reach.
Because I'm not clicking on Grimscythe, I'm not clicking on Command Golems at all. Oh god, a blue rune there.
Just avoid the fire long enough. Give it more time. Undone by their own ambition. Still recharging.
You got a nice army by your side with these mages, and the golem's doing its thing, but I'm not really using the golem's attack or skill. I'm not really clicking on it, only clicking on mages.
No, not yet.
And just moving around. Sort of lazy mode rapids run here in a challenge dungeon. And we're about to get off the raft here and let them attack the boss.
The balance is preserved.
Warm flesh, strong spirit. Yes, with your soul, the heart drum.
See, I'm pretty much just standing back, letting my summons do all the work here.
Scream to its song.
And as you can see, that they're not being killed at all. I'm getting hurt quite badly, but the mages are not being affected. And there we go. You can see that they definitely stay around, and they don't disappear when enemies are around or there's too much going on. They will stay for the full amount of time. Now let's try a quick Elder Rift run to end things. Okay, so let's only use the mages. Let the golem do its thing, but we'll just push the mages along. I'm not going to use my primary attack. I just want my mages to do the work here, just to see how quick it is to get through this without actually using my primary attacks, and just keeping an eye to make sure anything dodgy happens with the mages if they like die or disappear, which they shouldn't do. They're definitely not being targeted.
Die and rot. Give it more time.
Yeah, they're staying around for the full amount of time. And obviously, as I said, you can equip the essence to have
the balance
more mages. There's one of the essences, I think it's the shoulder piece, where you can have an extra mage by your side. That would be a nice one to increase your damage as well, but obviously you're going to have to sacrifice whatever you've swapped out to have that one. Let's take out these here. Yeah, and on the plus side, these mages are mobile as well, so they will follow you.
I must wait, it seems.
And they'll grow in size and strength, and even if I don't press the Skeletal Mage button, they'll passively summon themselves as well. Which is quite handy if you're in a tricky situation and you kind of forget to click them. It's just going to keep them summoned at all times. Let's see them take out this boss. There we go. They're doing their thing. Defeated the boss all by themselves. Good job, summons. And that's why I love being a Necromancer. Okay, let's exit and wrap things up. And that is it for this video. I just wanted to compare those new Skeletal Mage Essences that are untargetable with all of the other Mage Essences that we've had since Diablo Immortal was launched, and see how these ones compare against them for a 15-second training dummy test. And just to, I already know that they're untargetable, but I just wanted to find out in terms of damage, how do they compare with the others? And there was a clear winner there. These Spectral Mages are definitely the best in terms of damage compared to all of the other mage essences we've had, and they're really fun to use. I'll be using these mages for the long run until they bring some other essence. I don't think they're going to bring a mage essence into the game that's going to top these ones for a very long time, even if they even do, to be honest. I will do another video where I take these into a PvP environment like Battleground and see how they compare, and I will link the Challenge Rift video in the description as well, where I take these into a really tough PvE environment so you can see that they definitely stay around for the full amount of time, they don't go away, they don't get killed, and how helpful they are when they are around for the full timer. So hope you had fun with that video as much as I did, and hope it was useful as well for a bit of informational purpose, and hope you enjoy using these essences if you are a necromancer. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.